and welcome to Contractor Outlook newscast from the coffee shops. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and Contractor Outlook newscast is really a podcast that is for all contractors. And we look at some issues that not everyone else is talking about, whether it's advocacy, weather, news, what's happening with regulations, all the things that matter to a construction company. And one of the things that is probably, I think, one of the most important parts of running a business and building a strong company is your culture. So today we were so honored to be introduced to and be able to invite and have Caitlin Burke from TLO, one of the leading recruiting companies out there, join us, not just about recruiting, but about life's challenges and finding how people are finding their ways to the trades and seeing such success. So Caitlin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What an introduction. I'm glad to be on. Thank you.
We're so happy to have you. This is, we need some feel-good stories in our life today. There's a lot going on in the world, and you have done such amazing things and are helping other people find the trades and get involved in construction overall. So let's start. If you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and then I would love for you to share your story.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show. So how I got into, or a little bit about my background. So I have a really long story. I had to overcome a lot of things. I actually started playing football a long time ago. I played football in high school, and then I started playing football in out of college. I played professional football out of college. I played D1 sports. So honestly, my entire life, I played a lot of sports. So I was always a go-getter when it came to, like just being competitive and trying to be the best at everything and learning and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, I think it was 2022, I had hip surgery, and 5 days later, I couldn't feel my legs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I know I just went straight into that, but it's a long story, so I have to get into it. So 5 days later, I couldn't feel my legs, and it ended up going up to my chest. So I was at actually USC Keck, and they didn't know what to do. So I was in California, and I was supposed to be only in the hospital for about 6 days, and it ended up being 34 days. I couldn't walk, and so I had to relearn how to walk. They did a bunch of spinal cord tests and spinal taps and everything like that. I had to get 5 days of Plex, which is plasma exchange, and then I had to do 5 days of high dose steroids, and so that helped with finally getting me on my feet, trying to learn actually how to walk and everything like that, but that didn't stop there. So I ended up getting diagnosed with this extremely rare disease called myelin oligodendrocyte glycoprotein antibody disease. So it's really long.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's called MOGAD for short. I ended up having to fly to the Mayo Clinic, which I actually live in Arizona now. That's another reason why we moved here, because we were closer to the Mayo Clinic. But I'm a very rare person, I guess. So 1 in like 7,000 people, I think, in the whole world have this disease. It's very similar to MS. They actually misdiagnosed it with MS before they found out what the disease was. And then after that, I was laying on the couch a lot because I couldn't really walk. I was in a lot of pain. I still am. So I'm actually diagnosed with chronic pain. And I was laying on the couch, and I ended up finding a lump in my breast. So I went in to get a mammogram, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer right after. And all this was,
oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow.
All this was at the age of 31. So, so I was a whirlwind. This was 2022. So only like a couple years ago, the end of 2022. And I was recruiting all at the same time. So in the construction industry. And I was actually recruiting while I was in the hospital. So I was doing everything, still working and everything. I feel like it was distracting me from reality. But I honestly, talking to a lot of people, I learned that they have a lot of the similar stories and they share a lot of similar stories with me in different ways, whether they want to open up about, how something happened to something similar happened to them, close to them or something like that. It's really crazy to hear. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a challenge. But it still is. I still have to go to doctor's appointments all the time. I swear having a chronic illness is definitely a full-time job on top of another job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I am now cancer free. So it's been 2 years since my last, it's been almost 2 years since a little over 2 years since my diagnosis. And then almost a year since my last surgery. I've had a lot of surgeries. So, it's looking to be, things are moving up, I guess. But I had a lot of treatments and, went through a lot. I just had my last treatment at the end of last year. So, just a lot of things are moving at the right pace. But it's definitely a challenge, that's for sure.
Well, and that was really one of the reasons when you and I met. I mean, we met through Stan Robinson, who is a well-known roofing professional, but I really was interested in this podcast because I think there's a lot of people out there who are going through probably not nearly as much as you've gone through, but have these challenges and challenges that they need to overcome. And they need to find a culture that will embrace them and help them through this. What's some of your, as I find it so inspirational that you were still recruiting while you were in the hospital, you were still working. I can just see you there with your laptop on your, on your lap and working away. How have you seen your challenges and how you've overcome them, and also putting in with how athletic and competitive you were too? What's some of your advice to people on how to really kind of take these challenges on and stay in where they're at, or look for jobs and look for companies that can support them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I know like resilience is definitely one of the words that has always been in the back of my mind with this. And it always will be, but also just finding a company that allows you that understands, because a lot of companies, sometimes they just don't understand. And I don't work with companies that don't understand things like this because of what I've been through. So I would say to a contractor that is hiring, people are going through a lot. Give them some grace. I know a lot of people sometimes make up stuff like they have holes in their tires or their grandma died for the 10th time. But some people are going through some real stuff. And if you understand that and realize that people are human, then give them some grace. And then for the candidates that are going through that, realize that you're human too. And like, you don't have to put yourself into overload all the time. Yes, I was working from there, but I was doing it because of my own competition and sanity. I would say I always let people know on the phone, like, and in person and everything, like, you don't have to, spin yourself backwards. You have a life outside of work. And if you don't take care of yourself outside of work, then you're not going to be good at work. So, even if I'm in the hospital working, that's my own prerogative. I just, I don't encourage everybody to do that. It's more of, if you want to do that, sure. But if you need time off, then take that time off. And I think that it's very there's so many things to be learned, and everybody's different. You know what I mean?
Right. So. I love that because I say that all the time. I mean, you don't know kind of what helps to reduce their stress, right? For some people, getting a couple of extra hours in, continue to being distracted when you have such things going on. So continuing to work, those are good. those are good things, but for other people, it's not. And they need to have quiet. They need to get away from work. They need to heal. They need to take care of themselves. So I agree. And I really think the culture of today needs to be that open communication, right? Because we've actually had some experiences where we said, don't work on the weekend, don't work on the weekend. Well, that poor person got so stressed because that was kind of how they operated. And then they would take time off other times when they needed it. And so all of a sudden we were trying to fit them into this square hole or round hole, square peg, round hole.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the things you're seeing from the contractors? Like you said, I love what you said. I work with good contractors and companies who are recruiting. What are some of the things you're seeing about the importance of culture? And really, as people are interviewing and you're talking to them, how important is it to them because they're making a decision on who they're going to join, and there's a labor shortage. So we're in competition for good labor, good skilled talent. What are some of the things you're hearing on what people are looking for around culture?
Yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of the times, some people think they're in it for, like, candidates are in it for the money, but what I hear most is honestly the culture part of things. Either they're getting work too much, or they're not getting along with their boss, or a coworker or something like that. I actually just was reading about, if you have one person that's toxic in the work environment, it could, it's like a cancer, with no pun intended, that can like hurt everybody else in the environment. And it's true, because I hear that all the time, where they can't work with so and so, they need to get out because of so and so. It's not because of the money, it's because of the culture. And a lot of the times, the contractors that I'm working with, especially, what I'm seeing is that they're creating this culture around their employees that actually make them want to stay. And by that, I mean, like, they're not like you said, putting them in this square, whatever you said, the peg square hole.
Square peg, round hole. Yeah.
I always get backwards too. And so I'm seeing a lot of trust. So what I'm seeing is putting trust into people that say that, like, let's say that it's not necessarily unlimited PTO, but let's say they need a day off because they're sick or something like that. It's not like they're going to have to take that PTO necessarily, but like giving them a little bit more leeway when it comes to that kind of stuff. Or, hey, I might have this vacation coming up before I start. Is that okay? Instead of saying, no, you can't do that, blah, 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 or being more lenient with the salary or all this kind of stuff. A lot of people are opening up to people like that and giving them a little bit more of a cushion. And it's not to say that these candidates, I don't do that candidates all the time, but
right.
But it is there is a fine line, and I will always say that. But when a candidate and client have that trust in the very beginning, it's always something that will stick with that candidate and stick with that contractor or client as well, and see them throughout the entire process. So that's what I've noticed a lot of too, is just like the trust that you build, and just like making sure that you have that throughout the entire process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I wanted to work with a supplier partner I respect.
I wanted a partner who respected me.
We needed a partner with employees who care as much as we do.
We needed a partner who values relationships.
I wanted a partner that would help me grow my business.
We needed a partner that would help us succeed.
SRS Distribution delivers more than building products. SRS delivers customer success.
Oh, I do. And people talk a lot about back in the day, people would stay with the company for 30 plus years, right? And now today, or within the last couple of decades, people are hopping around a lot more. But, and I'd be really interested to hear what you're saying. It feels like when there is a good culture, people of all ages are not hopping around, they're staying. because they found a place, to your point, what you just said, where they know they're safe. They can, if they get sick, it's okay. If they have to take care of the kids, but yet they're also incredibly loyal to that company because the company took care of them.
Yeah. My favorite thing is when somebody says they're happy where they're at and they tell me why, because I get the sense of like, okay, well, one, I want to work for your company. I want to work with your company.
Yeah.
I want to recruit. Two, it's just such a thing where it's like, I don't hear that very often. And when I do, it's just like it makes me happy. Like somebody's doing something right. And, you want to get a little bit more insight. So sometimes I actually give them a call and be like, what are they doing right? And I want to see, because I really like, and I say this all the time when it comes to my type of work, is like, I like building teams. I don't really like just recruiting as just placing people one by one and then moving on to the next. I want to build a team as a whole. So it's like, I'm finding out what's wrong, what you need, and then going from there. So it's like, building out it one by one, whether it be your service department or, from the VP down to the foreman, you know what I mean? So it's like finding out exactly what you need and then moving forward from there. And, what I see the most is like, I see a lot of people, either if they're somewhere for a really long time and they're wanting to leave, it's because of change of management, or it's because they just want to see if there's something new out there. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm seeing, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you seen much around the mergers and acquisitions that's going on? There's a lot, where all of a sudden companies are starting to merge together and kind of opens the market a little bit, because that's a whole different culture.
Yeah, that's a lot, honestly. I've seen a lot of that. So you have to be really careful on this as well, is because a lot of the communication with mergers and they're used to their smaller company and what they're doing there. They're not used to the big dogs telling them what to do yet. And so when they're coming in with the smaller companies and merging with them, then, it could either be a disaster or a really good thing. So you have to treat it really carefully. And I've seen it all across the board where people have loved it or they've hated it. And so, yeah, I'm dealing with a lot of it right now, where, right now, I think that I've seen more buyouts than ever before, with companies and mergers and everything like that. And yeah, I'm super happy for a lot of the successful ones that are happening right now, right? But
yeah, exactly.
Not easy, that's for sure. If you make it look easy, then kudos to you.
I know. Well, and I think that's right. What we kind of come back to again is really that culture, right? The culture, you buy somebody, and if that totally changes, well, your employees might change too. Some might want to stay, some probably don't. When you're kind of looking right now out there, looking towards the future, Caitlin, what are some of the things that you continue to see that are going to really impact construction companies around retention, recruitment, just people overall? What are some of the your top things that you're seeing?
Well, there is a lot, honestly, that are involved. Where do I start? So it depends on the areas and like honestly, it depends on positions too. So some people I know I mentioned this before, it's a lot of culture with certain people, but also, if you're paying somebody the same exact rate for 10 years, then they're going to look somewhere else, or at least have an ear out. And so you could have the best culture in the world, but they're still going to have an ear out for, to see what else is out there. And I'm seeing that right now. I think that the best way to keep your team happy and keep a great retention is a mix of both. So I think that you should definitely understand the market and where the market is with salaries. It doesn't have to be the top of the range, right? But maybe just at least be in a competitive range with the salaries, always be understanding that of their hard work that they're doing, because a lot of people are, sacrificing a lot of time outside of their family to work these positions, especially the traveling roles and all that stuff. And, they want to be recognized. And I think a lot of these people won't say that they want to be recognized to their employer because they might be scared or something like that. They'll definitely tell me. But I think that the most important part is like not having them. They don't have to say it in order to get that recognition. It's more of, hey, I'm going to give them an extra $2,000 every, year or something like that. Because that's what they deserve. Or I'm going to give them an extra whatever, $1, hourly, or I'm going to give them this extra because they're working hard, because they're proving themselves, or actually even doing like a quarterly review or something like that, and then seeing where they're at. I think that definitely would help with retaining, and that's just, part of it. Yeah.
It really is. And I think you said something that really struck me, but I think there's a lot of companies out there that take the employees they have for granted. And then all of a sudden that employee is like, well, I haven't gotten a raise in a long time. I'm not getting promoted. I need a new challenge. And then the next thing you know, they're gone. And then you're hiring for that position. And usually when you're hiring, you have to hire at a higher price. And so if you just would have done that up front for the good employees, for the employees who are really, doing good, kind of maybe that yearly review of, are they competitive? Are their salaries competitive? And are we giving them what they need? Not everybody wants promotions. Not everybody wants to do things different. Some people are just really happy doing what they're doing. So it's just that communication of knowing and understanding. Costs a lot less to promote from within than it does to hire. I know that goes against the recruiting.
Okay. No, but honestly, what you're saying though is I would rather a team be there for a long. It actually makes me very happy for a team to be there for a very long time. Everyone's always going to need to hire, right? Like,
yeah.
But I would rather your team be there for a long time. You're building out all that stuff, or just like, hey, maybe I just placed a really successful team and you don't need anybody for the next 5 years, but you're referring me. I'd rather have that than you keep hiring and hiring and hiring, because that means I did my job right. And also like you're doing your job right too, because you're, keeping your people. And I'm picking the right contractors to work for, but honestly, that's, there's so many things that can be said about keeping, employees, and we could go on and on about that. But honestly, the best thing is, like we were talking about earlier, is just communication and trust, and making sure that that you're keeping that line of communication, the door always open. So
yeah, I think so too. That's really the bottom line. So I would like to know a little bit more. Okay, so we started out with your story, which is so inspirational, and you are now cancer-free for which is congratulations. I'm just so happy. We've had our own challenges in our family also, and so, what kind of where I know you want to raise awareness for what you've been through, for the diseases that aren't that well known. What are some of the things that you're doing now, and kind of where's your journey, and what are you looking for in the future around education for the people to know what's going on, and also just bringing your story and inspiration to the industries?
Yeah, honestly, so I'm not the kind of person to shy away from my story, because what I realize is there's everyone's going through something, just like you said, that you have, some things that have happened in your life. I feel like everybody's been touched by cancer in some way or something, if it's a rare disease, if it's cancer, especially. I think that sharing my story, even on like this podcast or any podcast that I've been on in the past, or podcasts that I will be on in the future, or even on LinkedIn posts or anything like that, I will shout it from the rooftops just to have one person either relate to me or like feel that they're not alone. Because when I was in the hospital, I felt so alone because my disease is so rare. And then I got breast cancer on top of that. And I actually didn't feel as alone then because I saw more people sharing stuff. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to open my mouth and let it be known. You're not alone either. Like I'm in my 30s, early 30s. And, I have this rare disease. I had all this stuff and I've had so many people reach out to me and I'm not afraid to give them advice or anything like that. It's like everybody's going through something. And even if it's big or small, it doesn't discount it. And I just, I think that I've had people come up to me too and be like, now I'm not afraid to share my story. And if that's all that I'm doing, then that's okay. Because I all I want is somebody to feel that they're not alone. And that's really what I want out of this.
I love it. I love it. Oh, you are so inspirational. Everything you've been through and now where you're going and sharing that story, I just think is so important. Just to finish up, tell us a little bit about TLO and how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so TLO has been around for about 6 years. And we do construction, but I personally do commercial roofing, waterproofing, and restoration. I am on LinkedIn, Caitlin Burke, and you can get a hold of me at 323-210-7575 or Caitlin at TLO.com. And it's TIELLO.com. Yeah.
I love it. And I think just for everybody out there listening to this, whether you're taking away the importance of culture and what that means to recruiting and retention, if you're taking away the inspiration of knowing that every family out there, every person at one point or another is going to go through challenges and we all need to stick together. That, Caitlin, you are just bringing such a great story and such a wonderful reminder to everyone here. Thank you so much for being here today on Contractor Outlook Newscast.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh my gosh, I loved it. And please, everyone, check out, you got the information on how to get to Caitlin. This is somebody who's open. If you know of somebody who's also fighting a rare disease or who needs a little inspiration, please share this with them. Also, please check out all of our Contractor Outlook. Please check out all of our Contractor Outlook newscasts under the Read, Listen, Watch navigation on all the coffee shops. We will be bringing you much more coming in the future, so be sure to subscribe and get all of the information you can for the companies that are out there. Have a great day. We'll see you next time on Contractor Outlook Newscast.